Many of you have asked about the Intel Core i7-4770K, the Haswell CPU, brand new from Intel. I reviewed it previously. This is a cyber power PC. Here are the specs. I'm using the Asus Z87K Intel board. And before I overclocked it, it came out of the box already running at 4.2 gigahertz. So a little bit of overclocking there. Of course, it has turbo enabled already, so it boosts over the 4 gigahertz mark. I gotta warn you guys, if you're gonna go ahead and overclock, this is just what I did. You're not necessarily gonna get the same results. You do have to have the proper cooling, and if you're not sure what you're doing, don't do it. You could void the warranty of your CPU. Now, going through these the Asus BIOS settings here, without modifying anything yet, this is what the Cyber Power PC that came pre-built and ready to go at 4.2 gigahertz, as I mentioned. I went through all of these BIOS settings just to see what they had done, and then I took it up a notch and overclocked it even further my way. So just to show you what they did here is they locked it in at a multiplier of 42 times the bus speed, which is 100, and that basically gives you the 4.2 gigahertz. They did enable a few things, of course, for the over voltage and extreme voltage settings, so that way, you know, there's more room for the current, the voltage to basically fluctuate and on demand provide the additional power. But when it comes to settings, well, this is what they basically had. In a nutshell, I went ahead and changed it to 46. So on my attempt to get to 4.6 gigahertz, I changed the multiplier to 46 from 42. I went in and, of course, did some further tweaking. Okay, so I made sure that I had the overvoltage enabled. Okay, so we want to make sure that we have that on. I made sure that the memory was set to the exact timings from the manufacturer. So I didn't want to rely on the system trying to auto detect the timing. So I went in, it said it was CL11, 11 and 11, 11, 30. So I made sure that I had that and set those exactly the way it's supposed to be. I didn't want any problems with the memory. The load line calibration, I set that to extreme. Okay, so we got an increase of power on demand. Okay, so for overclocking performance, they always say to increase the load line calibration settings. And of course, the current capability, I increased that to 140%. I believe by default it comes at maybe 120, 130, depending on how much overclocking. I wanted to give it more headroom, so I put it to 140%. Now, on the CPU power management, these are the options that I had enabled and disabled appropriately so that I get the stability that I need, of course, for overclocking it to 4.6 gigahertz. Not all of these chips can be overclocked to 4.6. The majority have been overclocked to 4.5 gigahertz, some to 4.6, and fewer to higher settings. Of course, you do need additional cooling. I do notice that with this chip, it heats up really fast, okay, as you increase the voltage. So going through the power management, these are, again, the settings that I had enabled and disabled. You know, we don't want any throttling. We want things to kind of lock in. We want the extreme overvoltage to, again, be enabled. I did have some tweaking to do with the voltage, of course, for the CPU core. I put that to 1.3 volts, and I put the RAM voltage to 1.65. Sometimes, you know, depending, I might increase that a little bit, but 1.65 was sufficient. And of course, under the CPU configuration, there are certain things that you need to have disabled, so that way you can support overclocking this further. So I listed them right here for you to see which ones I had enabled and disabled appropriately, so that way I could overclock and do my tests. So moving along again, last screen that I have here is the Intel Speedstep technology. I had that disabled, turbo mode enabled, and the CPU C states, as you can see there. Now overclocked, running at 4.6 gigahertz, there it is at 1.30507 volts is what I had it at. Again, the key is to have the extreme voltage, the load line calibration enabled, the current flexibility of having more power and fluctuate on demand. As you can see, I have it full load. The temperatures are really high with this machine. So I didn't want to go any further without more cooling. So even though I have a closed loop liquid cooler, it's still not enough to keep a 4.6 gigahertz chip like this one below the 90 degrees Celsius mark when you overclock it to 4.6 gigahertz. Okay, but anyways, still good results, and you're not running it at 4.6 100% anyways. Here are some benchmarks if you're curious on the ADA 64 cache and memory benchmarks. There it is, so you can see exactly the types of results that I can get with this machine. 3D Mark Vantage, you get the CPU score, gives you a good idea again on results. Some comparison results, again, if I ran it at 4.2 gigahertz as opposed to 4.6, you do get a jump and a performance boost on the CPU Queen, the PhotoWorks, the zlib tests. Here you can see how this ranks compared to other CPUs when I overclocked it to 4.6 gigahertz. Well, it's basically top of the line, high-end results. It doesn't get any better than this. Now, I mean, we don't have to overclock like crazy. Again, like I said, I want to keep temperatures as low as possible without going over the maximum temperatures that this CPU can allow. And basically 4.6 gigahertz with the cooling that I have is all I could get. But then again, you know, if I had more cooling, better cooling, then I could probably increase it maybe to 4.8 gigahertz, probably, you know. So anyways, this gives you good idea, you know, performance boost, increasing it, definitely worth it. Voltages, again, 1.3 volts, something like that. And tweaking the BIOS settings in those screens like I showed you can give you some decent results. Here's PC Mark 8 if you're interested. And again, you can compare these results to the previous results that I did when I had it at 4.2 gigahertz. I'll add the link below if you're curious about that video. I'd like to thank CyberPower PC for providing this system. Comment below, let me know what you think. Are you planning on overclocking your machine? Comment and let me know how much overclocking did you get. Thank you for watching.